Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. Let's discuss about internet and browsers. Now we all know, as a person in this century or in this time, everyone is ultimately dependent on the internet one way or the other. But now becoming a software developer or a tech person means you're going to be spending much more time on the internet. You're going to be depending on the internet much more than any other average individual. So let's learn about how the internet works and what the internet is basically made of. Now, the internet is just a global network of interconnected devices or computers that allows communication and sharing of information worldwide. So in simple terms, the internet is made up of multiple computers, or supercomputers in this case, that enables us to transfer information from one place around the world. Now let's take a look at what the internet is made of. Now the internet has some key components like servers. Now a server is basically a computer on steroids. I say this because a server is a computer, but it's a little different from the normal computers that we use on a day-to-day basis, like our laptops or our desktops or our devices, our mobile phones. The servers are computers that are specifically designed to share or to host resources like files or web pages or web applications in some instances. So now the other part of the internet that we can discuss is the clients. Now the clients are basically things like your phone, your mobile devices, your laptops that access the internet, basically. So they are clients because they depend on the internet. They collect information from the internet. Now one more thing we could talk about the internet is the protocols. Now the protocols are basically rules that govern the way the internet works. Protocols enable the internet to function on a set of rules which keep things in order, basically. So now, in official terms, internet protocols are a set of rules that dictate how data should be transmitted across networks. Now, this enables devices to communicate and exchange information over time, over the internet. Now, there are some common protocols and their users. We have the TCP/IP, which is a transmission control protocol, and the internet protocol. Now, this protocol is a suite of protocols, or let's say a list of commands or rules that form the basis of communication in the internet. So let's say TCP, which is in this case the transmission control protocol, it ensures that data packets or data, let's say in this case, in basic terms, are transferred over the internet with error-free and like in order. So this enables that when you transfer a file or a folder, whatever it is, or data across the internet, the TCP/IP is the one that is in charge of keeping things in check, making sure that your file moves from your device to the destination device. Now the next one we can talk about is the Hypertext Transfer Protocol. Now this one enables that you transfer web pages or web contents across the World Wide Web, which is the internet. Now there's a more secure version of the HTTP, which is the secure version HTTPS. Now this one encrypts your data, so you don't just send data across the internet, because in this world of now we have a lot of hackers or just people that tend to try to steal information on the internet. So the HTTPS reduces this risk by encrypting our data, which means it's like scrambling data, so anyone who accesses it cannot just immediately discover what it is. So the HTTPS is more secure and it's most really used in websites these days. Like HTTPS is the normal protocol that is used these days. So it enables you to secure information like transactions, your email addresses, emails that you send, or even transaction details, like when you try to send money over the internet, for example. Now the next one is the file transfer protocol. Now this one is used most commonly when you try to upload files to servers, or when I try to download files. So this is like a set of rules that control the way files are handled from within two devices, let's say in this case, between two devices. Now the next one is the SMTP, the Simple Mail Transfer Protocol. So now this is used for sending emails. Like this is basically how email servers work. How you send an email from your device and it's received by the destination or email address. So now the next one we can talk about is the domain name system. Now let me explain this in simple terms. When you type a domain or let's say a name into your browser, let's say google.com, it works fine, right? It loads Google. But what's happening in the background of this case? As we said, we have servers that serve web content. So how does a server, how do you find a server? Just by typing a few names or a few words in your browser's URL bar. So what happens in the background is we have the DNS servers, which is the domain name servers, that keep track of the names, which is google.com in this case, and then the IP addresses of the servers. Now, the IP address is basically a set of numbers that is a physical address, or let's say a virtualized address of a server on the internet. So now, before you can access whatever it is that you have on a server, you need to be able to, you need to know the IP address. That's how it really works. You need to know the IP address of that server before you can access it, or find the location of that server before you can access the contents of the server. Now, because as humans, we cannot tend to just store the IP addresses of servers here and there, it will become annoying at some point. So the DNS was introduced into the internet. So now the DNS keeps track of which IP address is linked to which domain name. So now when you type google.com, what your browser does is the browser checks the DNS servers and checks, okay, for google.com, what is the IP address of this server? Then the DNS server returns the IP address. So now your browser now goes ahead and goes to the IP address to fetch the content. So that's basically how it works. So the DNS translates the domain names, for example, google.com, into IP addresses that enables computer to locate servers over a network. So it's like a phone book for the internet, so to say. The way you store people's numbers using their names, so you can access and call them via their phone numbers. So the DNS is like a phone book for the internet. Now we have the secure shell. The secure shell is basically a protocol used to access a remote computer over an unsecured network. So it's like this. As we said, we have servers, right? But now, if I want to access my server, because it's on the internet, basically, I cannot just go ahead and go over to my server all the time and like update things inside of my server. And usually now we even have virtual servers here and there that you really don't have a physical location for your server. It's just there on the internet. So now logging into your server or accessing your server as an admin to like update things in your server requires the secure shell in this case. So the secure shell allows you to log into your server from your local devices. So it secures your connection from your device to your server. So now then you can decide to update things like change the content of web pages or other things like that. So now this enables you to log into your server securely. Now let's go ahead to the next phase. Let's go ahead and understand how browsers actually work. Now a browser is basically a software that enables the users to access and view information on the internet. So now here we already have the internet, right? But now how do we access and view this information? There are several ways you could access information on the internet. You could use your command line interface if you are very comfortable with it. But now the basic way, the most efficient way to access the internet is using your browsers. Now let's look at the key components of a browser. We have the user interface, which is the things you interact with, like the images, the address bars, the bookmarks, and everything. Now we also have the rendering engine. Now basically a web page consists of some things like the HTML, hypertext markup language. We'll understand more about that later. But now you just need to understand this is the structure of web pages. We have the CSS cascading style sheet. Is the design, basically what makes the website look like it adds the images, the colors. It makes it look nice, really. But then we also have the JavaScript that keeps things dynamic. So when you click a button and it reacts, basically JavaScript is what handles that in the backend. So we also have the browser engine. This manages interactions between the user interface and the rendering engine. We have the networking. So now the HTML and the HTTPS stuff. So the JavaScript interpreter is the one that executes the code on web pages. So normally we understand that our computers really don't understand programming languages by default. We need to convert them to binary. So now the JavaScript interpreter is the one that enables that you change the JavaScript code that is on a web page and changes it to something that is like executable that runs in your web page when you are visiting a web page. Now we have basic browser functionalities like the address bar, the tabs, and the bookmarks. Now we have a number of browsers like the one displaying on the screen now. We have Edge, we have Chrome, Google Chrome, we have Opera, Safari, Firefox, Brave. There is a number of browsers out there. But one of the most, this are one of the most popular ones, Chrome being the top. Google Chrome is used a lot all over the world. Opera, Edge, Firefox. So basically they have the advantages and disadvantages. So you can also understand which one works for what. So developers tend to use things like Firefox and I think Chrome also. So like front end web developers tend to use a lot of try to like work on multiple web browsers to understand and basically work on everything to see if their web page is actually working fine on every single one of those type of browsers. So basically this is everything about internet and browsers. For support, please like this video and subscribe to my channel. This goes a long way. So thank you so much for watching. We will discuss more in the Google Meet, the Google Classroom. Leave your questions or contributions in the comment section and they'll be attended to basically immediately. Thank you so much for watching once again. Goodbye, everyone.